Are you from New York, by the way? I saw 516
Yes, I'm from Long Island, actually.
from Long Island. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever seen these guys in Times Square. They stand there in there, and they have these interesting costumes with the they had very prominent is the Star of David, and they're mostly black and Latino, and the basic three basic things that they believe is that blacks and Latinos are the true Jews of the Bible, that the world is about to end, and that the Messiah is about to return. And so when I was studying sociology in undergrad, I did a paper on them where I actually spent a lot of time with them. Um, and it was a sociology paper, so I was trying to understand where were they coming from a sociological point of view, from a cultural point of view, and they're into a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of biblical prophecies, stuff that's kind of that is not very that people don't think about every day, and just spending a lot of time with them, they kind of started to get under my skin, and it was an interesting time because I was pretty young at the time, and at that time in your life when you're kind of when you're we could be easily be influenced by other ideas and new ideas, and so it just stayed with me when I started thinking about writing and making movies. Um, it was just an experience that stayed with me, and I wanted to make a movie where I would explore what it's like to be exposed to extremist ideas.
And, and speaking of the paper that you wrote, I was going to actually ask you about that as well. How much of the script did you really base on that paper that you wrote when you were in college, and how much
I think,
additional
yeah.
how much
How much?
additional research did you do besides that, as well as once you actually began working on the film?
Um, the paper, well, not much because the paper was, limited to what I was studying, what I had learned from them and from my sources in the group. And obviously, I had to take a lot of dramatic license in order to create a story that just had the scope and the emotional impact. So not that much, but definitely the basics of what they believe, their basic beliefs, definitely that was put into the screenplay. And then I just took a bunch of dramatic license with what are some of the things that could happen when like a 22-year-old Latino college student infiltrates a group like that. In real life, I actually, I was upfront with them. As I was supposed to, according to the ethics of the research. You're supposed to be upfront with them and tell them that you're doing a paper. In the story, the character sees that he's not really gonna, or thinks that he's not really gonna get anywhere with them, so he lies to them and tells them that he's actually interested in joining, and so he's infiltrating really. And so that's something definitely that didn't happen in real life.
And do you feel that getting your BA in sociology maybe helped you in writing the script overall and directing the film as well? Do you feel that that background in your education maybe influenced the way that you wrote the script overall?
Yeah, definitely. I think probably to the extent that to make a movie where you demonize a group like that would be pretty easy and pretty boring. I think, from my opinion, and I think my sociology background allows me to take a bit of a more nuanced approach, a more distanced approach in terms of creating those characters, the preachers, the people who believe in a lot of these ideas, and just really presenting them as three-dimensional people and trying to understand, the at least I guess trying to explore and understand the psychology, in terms of where they're coming from and not just presenting a villain. I think that's definitely where my sociology background comes into play.
And besides writing the script for the film as well as acting as the director as well, you're also going to be producing the movie as well. So do you feel that serving as a producer on the film maybe influenced the way that you wrote the script and the way that you're going to actually direct the film as well?
No, because you know what? I started writing that screenplay, or at least I started. I conceived of it when I was in film school, and I was and I didn't know anything about. I just wasn't thinking in terms of anything commercial or anything really financial, which actually made it a lot tougher. Actually, I think, but in the end, I'm ending up making the film that I want to make. But I think that if I would have if I would have put financial considerations, calculated or factored that into the whole thing from a producing point of view, I don't know. Maybe I would have made the film differently and maybe not be as happy with it, or maybe I would have even been discouraged from doing it because it's a very tough film in a lot of ways from a commercial point of view. It's a challenging film. The people who are behind it financially, who are the people who are acting in it and kind of going to take part of it, are very, very passionate about it. But it's definitely a type of project that you either have people that are very passionate about it or just don't get it. And so I think if I had my producer hat on for the beginning, things would have went differently, I think.
And speaking of the actors who are going to be in the film as well, there have been reports that like Danny Glover and Mekhi Phifer are going to be in the film. Are they still attached to the film? And if so, are there any details maybe about their characters that you can discuss overall?
Yeah, we're still, now that we're about to go into production and everything, we're locking down, I guess, the terms of how everything's going to work, but they're still attached. So Mekhi Phifer, let me think about how not to give away too much of the story, but just enough. Mekhi Phifer is going to play a member of the sect that the student meets and befriends, and then the student realizes that Mekhi Phifer's character seems to be splintering off from the main group, forming his own sort of splinter group, where they are, where it seems like they're planning to do some type of operation that the main character is trying to figure out exactly what it is. I'm trying to not give away too much, but yeah, the two Mekhi. So basically, Mekhi is playing an informant, I guess you could say, that the main character befriends and could possibly be involved in some type of a terrorist operation, but which may not be actually what it seems.
And before you started working on this film, you also directed several short films as well, and one of them, St. Paul, you received several awards for it, and it's played at several different film festivals. So, what was your experience like in actually winning the awards and bringing the film to the different festivals overall?
Um, I guess, it was my introduction to the industry. I guess fortunately it went really well. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was just making my thesis film, and I look back and I'm just like, well, I'm just glad everything worked out. Um, and it was a great experience. It's where I pretty much made most of the contacts that I have now, and I guess really most of the people that I'm even working with today came out of that film, in one way or another. And same thing with Cookie, which is the second short film that I made, and that was like the first film that I made outside of film school. Fortunately, they were really good experiences. Cookie premiered at Tribeca. It received an award, or it was a finalist in an NBC, I guess you could say, a showcase. So those experiences were really good. Was there something specific with respect to that you wanted to hear about?
Yeah, just like mainly like how you really what your experience like was overall, like actually going bringing the film to the different festivals, and maybe how like audiences reacted to the films overall, and just like maybe what kind of feedback you received as well overall.
Um, I think both of St. Paul being what it was about, Latino atheists and dealing with religion and even infidelity, even abortion and those types of things. I think it was great to see that people just, as with Asher, as you can see, I like edgy subject matter. As with Asher, it was great to see that people connected with it, and I think some of these themes are not necessarily something that everybody's dealt with, but I think that it confirmed that um, I was able to make a movie make a movie covering these themes that were still universal, and that people got it. Um, yeah.
And speaking of the fact that your movies have that dark theme into them and exploring the darker elements overall, is that something that you'd be interested in continuing in your future films, like maybe the darker elements of the film, or would you also be interested in maybe trying comedy and like lighter themes overall as well in the future?
I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like. I mean, I definitely gravitate towards um, darker, realistic subject matter. But yeah, I would definitely like to actually try a comedy. I think it would have to be the right one for me. Um, something that I something that I connect with. It may not be like the something really broad or something, like a sort of like a gross out kind of comedy is probably not my thing, but I'd love to try something maybe along the lines of Woody Allen, or something like that. It'd have to be because of my sensibilities and where I naturally sort of go. It'd probably have to be a very distinct sort of thing, but yeah, I'd love to try that actually.
And speaking of like Woody Allen films, are there maybe any particular directors such as him that maybe influenced your decision to go into filmmaking and directing overall, or maybe any filmmakers that you generally like look up to overall?
Yeah, I love Sidney Lumet, Martin Scorsese, um, William Friedkin, Francois Truffaut. Sort of like 70s directors, French New Wave, probably a big influence on me. Um, a lot of the I like a lot of Italian directors. Directors working in Italy that were working in Italy, like Bertolucci, or people still working in Italy, like Giuseppe Tornatore.
One of the other films that I read that you signed on to direct is Blood of the Martyr. So, are there any particular details about that film that you can discuss overall?
No, that's still in development. No, that's with Frank Reyes and his company. Um, that's still probably too early. Still, well, it's not. It was announced a while ago, and then the financing wasn't put together. So there isn't really much to say about that right now. He's kind of regrouping his company.
And then another one of the films that I had read that you're also going to be directing is 16 Boards as well. So, are there any particular details about that one as well that maybe you can talk about?
Yeah, hopefully that will be something that we're able to put together next year. So that's with a company called All West Entertainment. That's owned by the rapper Kid Frost. Um, and it's about it tells kind of the Cain and Abel, kind of like a Cain and Abel story set in the world of Latino hip hop on the West Coast.
And my last question is, I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask, are there any particular projects overall, that you'd be interested in working on, or that you already have lined up that you can discuss overall?
Um, I'm working right now on a sort of. I guess I could mention this one. I'd like to. I'm working on a TV show version of Asher, a TV series, which would probably be probably sort of like a Latino X Files kind of show, having to do with everything, from conspiracy theories to paranormal to UFOs, and basically taking the character from Asher, a college student who is interested in this stuff and is constantly investigating that type of that type of thing.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye.